Let's talk more about Nigeria's security and how we can bolster our defense system to curb the menace of insecurity. We're joined live in the studio by Bem Ibrahim Garba, a security consultant with experience in training systems and infrastructure. Thank you, Mr. Bem Garba, for joining us live on Daybreak on Arise News.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, we're still locked in the fever, the anxiety on Nigeria's security situation being dubbed by the U.S. government, by Trump administration, particularly as a CPC, as a country of particular concern. And what do you make of the reactions? The federal government have said that they are foreign actors driven by interest to weaken the nation's unity, and there is nowhere in the constitution and in government operations that suggests Christian genocide in the country. Coming from a security perspective, what do you make of this?
Okay, so I would say the U.S. President, President Trump's perspective is born out of concern for what's happening. I mean, any leader would be concerned about the loss of lives and violence that takes people's lives, whether the people are Christians or Muslims. But the issue of the idea that this is genocide is difficult to relate to, because the victims of these incidents are Christians and Muslims. Right. So making it, positioning the situation as a religious situation is difficult to appreciate. It is more of a, from my personal perspective and from the analysis that has been carried out by many sources, it's a cocktail of all kinds of causes, economic, banditry, terrorism. You know, there are many factors, but just to narrow it down to genocide against Christians is difficult. It's difficult to swallow.
Right, now let's speak of your area of specialization. How effective is Nigeria's current military in supporting Nigeria in what is possibly coming towards it? How prepared are we as an army, from your opinion, in your specialization in security and military?
So the army is the Nigerian Armed Forces is a very well-educated organization. I mean, it's a group of the Army, Air Force, Navy. They're very well-educated. They have numerous schools. They go through a lot of training. But over the last few years, we've noticed some gaps. We kind of find ourselves in a situation where we are, I mean, using IT as an example, you're teaching people to use Windows 2 when there's Windows 10. So there's a lot of emphasis on studying, but to what extent is the curriculum being studied relevant to the immediate and future threats is where we see some gaps. And these gaps were very prevalent in the last few years. But recently, I must confess that we've had conversations with some of the critical stakeholders, and they're asking questions. We've seen a willingness to do something about this. We've seen a willingness to upgrade infrastructure, because it's not just about textbooks, and it's not just about going to classes and reading books. There's a shortage of infrastructure as well. I'll give you an example. For shooting ranges, a shooting range is like a car. You've given a driver the highway code. He's read it front to back. He's crammed it. He's memorized it. He can wake up and read it. But you've never given him a physical car to drive in. So that makes it difficult for him to apply what he studied in the vehicle on the road. And the armed forces kind of like are in a similar situation where there's a lot of training, there's a lot of textbook work, there's a lot of time spent in the classroom, but the infrastructure to practicalize the things that have been taught in the classroom are not as readily available as they should be. So this has to be improved upon. And with the new people on board with the armed forces, since President Tinubu came into power, there's been a lot of discussions about how to do this.
Okay, can I come in? Mr. Ben Garba, I think you do consult for DICON, that's Defense Industry Corporation, or you have worked at the background with them at some points. Am I right?
Yes, we're in partnership with DICON. We're
Okay.
DICON.
Yeah, that's good because like a prelude to what's happening now, to Trump's statement of threat of military action against Nigeria. It seems, or the federal government is claiming that it had preempted the situation by having a change of guard at the highest security level, and we saw the screening of the new chief of defense staff, where he said he pledged his commitment to promoting an intelligence-led operation, security agencies, cooperation, and also the development of local arm. I found that very instructive because in a country where we are rich in uranium and we are also rich in lithium, so we have the raw materials. So what is the way forward in this kind of thing so that we don't let off or let down our security guards in crucial times like this?
Okay, so again, I would say that I think this is an amazing time for the defense industry in Nigeria. For so many years, defense manufacturers and contractors have been prevented, or the system has sort of prevented the development of these local capabilities that we are talking about. But as an additional testament to the positive sides we're seeing, the comments made by the Chief of Defense Staff, the new Chief of Defense Staff, are an indication and a testimony in support of what I said earlier. They have concerted efforts. They're very serious efforts to change things. And from an insider, I've been in this industry since 2010. As an insider, these efforts are very, very visible. They're glaring. And I was really taken aback pleasantly taken aback to hear him say that, because I didn't think he would say it. But I know that he will keep his word for saying it. The environment is better. We're in the process of developing a lot of capacity. The current DG of DICON is extremely capable of running DICON. You know, DICON has had challenges in how it's been run since its inception. We've had some few wins, but this DG is, I mean, I'm not giving him lip service, but I've actually seen him work, and I know that before the end of 2027, Nigerians will see a lot of changes, a lot of capabilities that they will see a lot of capability that has already been, capabilities that are being built, and we're going further up the curve in becoming more self-sustainable. So I think on a whole, there's a lot of positives to report.
Right. Now, looking at the conversations that we've been having today and some of the reports that we've been holding earlier, do you believe that foreign powers sometimes exploit, in this case, Nigeria, when it comes to our security challenges?
So security is big business. People need to sell things. People need to buy things. People need to source whatever they can at the most competitive prices. If we are gray in certain areas, we will be exploited, and sometimes we may not even know. But Nigeria is learning. Nigeria is learning. We're miles away from where we were a few years ago. And a lot of stakeholders are taking note of some of these narratives and doing things to see how we can reduce or completely block these incidents of exploitation.
Okay. Now we look at a situation where, talking about proliferation of small and light and illicit weapons. Now we have ECOWAS on one stand calling for the prohibition, according to Article 17 of the ECOWAS Convention, that all small arms should be prohibited. But now we have a situation across the Sahel now from the fall of the Gaddafi regime, where these arms are falling into the hands of terrorists. So now the arms are being retrieved and being demolished, and on one hand we're having shortage of military equipment to fight this terrorism battle. What do you make of such a situation? Isn't it paradoxically?
So there's reference to what happened in Libya. There's sort of like an oversupply or access to weapon systems in the hands of non-state actors. It's a problem, and smuggling. With smuggling, people manage to get a lot of this into our country. The availability, the presence of these types of weapons in the country are a major security risk. But also, many of these weapons are old and can only be used by threat elements. State actors have to use better quality equipment. You don't just pick a gun because it's a gun. You pick a gun for a reason. It's sort of like trying to open a bottle of Coke with a screwdriver. Screwdriver is extremely is an extremely effective tool when you apply it to unscrewing or screwing something. But when you try to use it to open a bottle of Coke, it starts to defeat the aim. So yes, these weapons can cause mass destruction, but in the hands of state actors like the police and the army and people that should use weapons the right way, many of these weapons are not suitable for the kind of work they do.
Now, Nigeria has a history of rehabilitating insurgents, and I'm curious to know what your opinion is on this.
That's a tough question.
Should I? Yes, I understand.
That's a very tough question. I don't really advocate for the elimination of threat elements if it can be avoided. People that can be used or can be reorientated to do positive things should be given a chance. These people can provide a workforce like the way maybe we've heard stories of China having people travel to countries to work as prison sentence and things like that. These people can be a part of our workforce, but people who are people who do not want to change, who are non-repentant, I think they should be dealt with by the provisions of the law.
Okay, let's streamline this discussion because Yolanda is really making a very cogent point there. Yesterday, the federal government said it has neutralized 13,500 terrorists and also arrested 17,000 terrorists. What do you make of that report? Do you think the federal government is showing enough capacity in handling this challenge, this security challenge?
I know the federal government, I won't say I think, I know the federal government is extremely concerned, and I know that they're trying their best to do it the right way. They also have capacity problems in terms of how certain things should be managed, the laws that guide them. And this is where I would like to call on international partners like the US government and all others to help us, look at these issues. What are the best ways to handle these issues? We need cooperation from our international partners. We need cooperation in terms of peacekeeping.
Sorry, let me just come in. You mentioned something very interesting now. We need cooperation from our international partners. Who do we look towards? Should we look along the line of US or that is threatening a military action, or look towards China or the BRICS or the EU? So which one best serve our national interest as Nigerians?
I don't think any country can give us everything. I think various countries would provide various types of support. The US has what it can do. I mean, US partnering with us, they're very good at direct action. They're very good at intelligence gathering. I mean, if they work alongside our people in the fields, you know, it will help improve capacity.
Mr. Garba, I'm so sorry. We are so pressed for time.
Sorry.
You're making a lot of sense, but we are also bound by our own time regulations. Otherwise, my producer would surcharge me. Thank you very much. We hope we can have you many more times to share your insightful contribution. You've brought in a whole different perspective into this, and I hope the federal government and government at subnational levels are listening.